Thanks for joining us today on Cece and Doc Talk, where we talk about everything under the sun. You never know quite what you're going to get, but you'll always be entertained. Welcome to Cece and Doc Talk. Today we are talking about spontaneity, not the planned kind.
Oh, but a lot of people can only be spontaneous if it's planned. People are not very spontaneous. I tell you, they're really not.
Well, that's because, if you go back to Real Colors, which was one of our first podcasts, over 45% of the population is gold.
Which is all about planning.
It's all about structure and planning
and
scheduling.
The greens really are not very spontaneous either because they have to think about it first.
No, so that leaves the blues and the oranges. Now
the orange will lead the way, the blue will follow, the green will go, maybe, and the orange and the gold is like, no,
I need it at least 2 weeks to find a babysitter, to do whatever. Anyway, so back to spontaneity. So are we spontaneous? Do you think we're spontaneous?
I think you and I are very spontaneous. I really do. And I mean, it's a matter of all of a sudden, one of us turns on music, we start dancing, and sometimes the other person is kind of like, oh, I really don't feel like dancing right now. And then the music gets into your bones, and you start wiggling. And next thing you know, it's like, okay, that was fun.
Yep. So. So that's one example. What are other examples? Traveling, we used to be very spontaneous. Actually, we were just traveling and we were spontaneous.
So, I mean, we were able to just like leave at a different time but the other thing is we went camping and we realized we didn't have to go back right away and we stayed a couple more days.
Right.
And I remember there was a time where we were at a cabin with your parents and we were staying, it was somebody else's cabin. And then morning we got up and we washed all the sheets and we made the beds together, or we made all the beds, and we realized we could have stayed another night.
Right.
And everybody wanted to, but because we had already washed the sheets and everything, we decided not to. And I wish we would have.
I know, I wish we would have too, because my dad was with us on that trip.
And he loved that patio with the rocking chair.
But we did just do that at Gulf Shore State Park with Mom. So as many of you know, if you're following us on social media, we did a post-chemo road trip to go see my mom and in Alabama, and also to see Amy's dad and stepmom in Tennessee. And thank you. They all quarantined and COVID tested and everything before we got there to keep me safe. It was wonderful. So then we were in the Bubble on Wheels, No Dick Van Dyke, our little camper van that we love. And we traveled to Mom and we were like, hey, let's go to the beach for a day. So we went to the beach, we went to Gulf Shores, and we found this campground.
Now, the campground has about 500 sites, and normally it's a 2-night minimum reservation. And what if you're able, we just called, and that's another thing. We're not afraid to pick up the phone, because there were no 2 consecutive nights available. But when I looked online, there was one night in this camp spot, and one night in that camp spot, and one night in that camp spot. So we were able to just call and get individual. Now that means we had to move sites each day.
Right.
But we didn't really set up a big, we didn't bring a whole yard sale with us to set up our campground,
right,
our campsite. And but they were originally we did 2 nights.
Yeah, I was going to say we didn't initially plan on staying that long. We found that it's funny. We've been there a million times. We finally found this state park that we'd never found before.
It is beautiful.
So we planned only on staying 2 nights, and the next thing you know, we stayed 4.
We ended up staying 4. What we were surprised by is the weekend rates were higher, right. and then we didn't get whatever. But it was worth it to just go, hey, should we stay longer? Let's do that. And if you can, and people want to. Now, the other thing we do with spontaneity is we do the scale of 1 to 10.
Yes, sometimes.
And I think that's really useful in these situations.
You have to explain the scale 1 to 10.
Okay. Scale of 1 to 10 is on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 means absolutely yes, 1 means absolutely no. We would then ask people on a scale of 1 to 10, do you want to stay a couple more nights? Right? So they have a choice. They have a vote in it.
And everybody has to vote.
Everybody has to vote individually. Yeah. And if somebody's 8, 9, or a 10, it means a lot of times you do it because they really want to do it. But if a lot of people are just a 1 or a 2, or everybody's like a 4 or 5.
Anything under 5 is usually like,
Hey, let's not do this.
Right.
And I remember it saved us $800 one night. We were at the Dinah Shore Classic. There was a group of us about to go into a big concert.
This is in Palm Springs. It's like it used to be like the biggest
lesbians
party
gone
on
wild
the planet, and we only had the experience once, but it is an education.
It definitely was an education.
It's changed a little bit.
Women Gone Wild, yes, for a whole week. And we were all standing, there was a group of us, a huge group, standing
like 10
outside.
of us.
Yeah, standing outside this concert hall. We were all tired and sunburnt and
Was it
pretty
the
much,
black and white party night, or was it a different night? Concert. It might have been a concert night.
It was concert night. And we're just hanging out in this long line, and of course we've been drinking all day. And all of a sudden I go, on a scale of 1 to 10, well, I kind of overheard people talking about, I'd rather just be going to bed right now, or I'd rather just be, watching a movie right now. So all of a sudden I go, hey, group, listen up. So this is a spontaneous moment. Okay, everybody, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to go into this concert tonight? And it was like $80 to $100 a person.
Yep.
And all the ratings were 4, 5, 6, 3, 2,
You and I were like 3.
1. And you know what happened? This entire group of 10 people, all of us standing there, we all went our own way and left the line. And
I think
we
didn't. 2 or 4 people ended up going anyway, which cracked us up because their scores weren't that high either. But
that was the plan.
But peer pressure, and that was the plan. So that's the thing. And back before COVID, when we used to travel all the time, we used to be really spontaneous. Like what we would do is when we traveled someplace, we would usually come up with just like a big list of all the stuff that we might like to do while we were there, but we never planned any of it. And then it was just kind of like, if we woke up and in the morning and we decided what the first thing to do on the list was that day, and then we just kind of went from there.
Well, and there was another time where we just hopped in the car and we go, should we go north, south, east, or west? And we just started driving. And then from there, we'd figure something else out.
Oh, that's right. That was with my mom.
And then,
and she picked west, right?
And she
so
picked
we ended
west.
up in Utah and all the national parks.
Yeah.
And we went to the Grand Canyon. But it doesn't just happen with travel. It happens here at home a lot too. And with meals, with everything.
Okay, so spontaneity, it doesn't have to be big stuff, right? So being spontaneous is, we're going to cook something that we've never tried before. And if it doesn't taste good, then we always have a pizza as backup. Let's try Indian. Let's try something. Let's try something totally different. Or, let's mix these cereals, all 3 of them together, and see how it tastes. I mean, it's just something that is a little bit kind of out there, or you don't necessarily, it's outside the box, or outside the norm of what is normally acceptable. Or even spontaneous is just walking up and putting your arms around somebody and saying, I love you, right? That's a spontaneous moment.
Oh, sweetie, I love you.
You didn't put your arms around me, though. No.
They didn't know that.
I know.
So what is your advice for someone who would like to be spontaneous, but really is very structured and struggles with that?
Well, to look at, is it a control thing, right? Do you need to control everything throughout the day because you have an agenda and you have to hit everything on the agenda? But is it really your agenda, or does that what everybody wants? And again, the scale of 1 to 10 works, right? Mm-hmm. Or to be able to do things where people feel that they have a say in it. When we would go on vacations with people, we would say everybody's on their own until noon or 11:30, and then we're going to come back together, and we're either going to cook something here or we're going to go get something to eat, because that worked really well.
Yep.
Because then everybody could be their own spontaneous actions and behaviors during the morning. You could sleep in, you could go get breakfast, you could go for a walk.
Yep.
But it allowed everybody to have their own agendas for the morning. And then we've also said, okay, everybody, you're responsible for a different night's dinner, whether we go out to dinner or we cook in, or you decide what we're doing for a whole day. You and pick your favorite day.
That's fun. You and I have done that before. Like 1 week it's my turn, 1 week it's your turn, where like I get a day or a Saturday is like my day to choose everything that we do that day, everything we eat, everything we do. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to cook it all or be in charge of it all.
We would go, what's your favorite day of the week? And you go Saturday. And so Saturday, you decided everything.
Yeah. Those are kind of fun days. But then they can be kind of hard too if you can't think of stuff.
Well.
They can be kind of hard.
Well, we used to do that to your mom, right?
Right.
And what would she have us do? Go pick up trash.
Yeah.
With a bag.
So
she'd love to have us just
when we were
comb the beach.
Yeah. So I think there's a little context needed there. So usually when we were in Isla Mujeres, where we used to have a condo in Mexico, we would have my mom pick a day. And my mom is classic at being great at being willing to do whatever everybody else wants to do. So it's always hard sometimes to say, hey, you're in charge today. What do you want to do?
And she would freeze. So she would have to have time to think about it.
And she always wanted to walk the beach, but we all had to have a garbage bag and pick up the trash on the beach because unfortunately there was a little more trash than I'd like to.
And we were thrilled to do it.
Absolutely. And she was always so thrilled at the end because we'd have this like we had a little Jeep down there, and the back of our Jeep just used
And
to
the
be
hood
piled
was
with garbage.
loaded.
And so
Which
then
is
we
a
would
shame,
take
but,
the garbage to the dump, and she would be very happy, and we all got our good deed in and our nice walk on
And
the
then
beach.
she
It
would
was fabulous.
decide where we were going for dinner and what we were having, and she didn't have to cook it, or I mean, she could just
No.
say, "I'd like to have this tonight," and then we would all pitch in and cook.
Yes. And so so that was always fun. So what is your favorite thing about spontaneity?
You see so much more in life. I guess I get to feel a little bit more free, and I have that value of freedom. And so, there was one time where you and I had a couple passes. I know it came back to the travel thing, and two one of those airline tickets things where you get when you have to volunteer for a delay. But this was way back in the day. They were vouchers, and we called one time and we asked the airlines, and it's like, hey, we want to go to New York. No, you can't use them for that. Hey, we want to go to California. No, you can't use them for that. And I finally go, you tell me where we can use them for, and they go, Calgary,
Canada. Oh my God, that's right.
And I said,
that was one of our best trips ever.
Right. So exactly my point. Right. And then we just rented a van. And we went and stopped at Target, picked up a couple sleeping bags, and then we just grabbed some camping gear as our luggage. And then the first thing we did is we went to a camping store and we asked the employees there, where can we just sleep in our van without having to pay any camping fees?
Back then, we didn't know it was called boondocking, or in Canada,
now they
call
go,
it poach camping.
They go, oh, you want to poach camp?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we love when you poach camp. They go, nowhere in Banff, but you can do it over in Jasper. And they told us exactly where to go to poach camp. And we just had, hot dogs for breakfast and whatever else would work in our little cooler for a couple days. Because you know what? Being spontaneous is where the stories come from.
I agree with that for sure. Well, and even recently, driving back home from the South where we were at visiting family, we ended up getting waylaid because of weather at one of the campgrounds that we stop at.
Yeah, so we were in Texas and there was a snowstorm hitting Colorado at the end of May.
And we actually loved this campground. So we got to stay because there was a snowstorm in Colorado. We got to stay in the campground for an extra day. We got to go on a hike that we didn't know existed. And it was such a lovely, beautiful day. And then we were super well rested to get back on the road. I mean, I think for me, what I love about spontaneity is there are so many hidden gifts. I guess it kind of goes back to what you said. There's so many hidden gifts in spontaneity, and you don't have to be retired to be spontaneous. You don't have to have extra time to be spontaneous. You just kind of have to be willing sometimes to go with the flow. You have to be willing to let go of control, as you mentioned. And you just, it really is, I do think it allows you to be much more present and live in the moment, which you and I don't always do well. And we it's funny, we can be very spontaneous and yet we don't always do as well as we should living in the moment. And so being spontaneous really does give you that ability.
Yeah. I mean, in an evening, it's like, okay, tonight we're going to do this, this, and this. Well, what if you only just did this?
Well, and
or somebody else in the family comes up with B and C,
Truth be told, anytime we ever say we're going to do this, and this today, we usually only get two of those things done anyway.
Oh, so you might as well just do one.
Right. Or you might as well just go with whatever happens and
whatever unfolds for the day.
Right. Like last night I had popcorn for dinner.
Yeah, what did I have last night for dinner? Oh, I had leftover eggs.
Right. Because we ate a bigger meal in the daytime, we weren't super hungry, and I had been craving popcorn since chemo. But chemo didn't, popcorn tasted really bad during chemo.
Popcorn chemo was not good.
I know.
It's really bad.
And so I was really craving popcorn, so I sat and ate a big bowl of popcorn last night.
How was it?
It was really good.
That's lovely.
And we had a healthy meal before that. So.
That's fantastic.
I know. My spontaneous popcorn dinner. Felt like I was back in college.
Well, I'm spontaneously not going to do the laundry.
All right. Well, that's fine. I was just thinking, who can we get to do the laundry? I don't know, but I'm
Alexa.
not doing it either. Yeah.
Alexa, do the laundry.
Uh-oh, she's going to reply now.
All right, that's okay.
I'm not sure about that.
She says, sorry, I'm not sure about that.
See, exactly. I'm not sure either.
So everybody, think about doing something spontaneous in the next couple of days. Just, even if it's something really little, like test yourself, like change up your coffee brand, or add a little cinnamon to your coffee and
make a little
give
Mexican
it a little,
coffee.
Yeah, make a little Mexican coffee out of it.
Maybe add some Baileys.
What other easy spontaneous suggestions do you have, Amy?
You know what? It's just breaking your routine.
Yeah.
Just do something different.
Yeah.
You know what? You want to know something spontaneous that will really mess up the household? If you normally sleep on certain sides of the bed, sleep on the other side of the bed.
Oh.
That's spontaneous and mess things up.
Totally. Well, that is funny. You and I switch place. We don't switch bed sides necessarily, but I sleep in a different side of the bed in the camper than I sleep in it in the house, and sometimes we switch up our chairs around the dining table. And
yeah, we don't have like this is your side and this is my side, and like on the couch or the yeah. So,
sometimes we gravitate toward one, but then we're okay with switching. It's really weird. We're fine with it.
yeah, but
It's
a
a
lot
good
of people
thing.
are not fine with it. So
I
the
know.
biggest, find something that you're fine with it and just go with it, because that's what stories are made of.
And it does make people highly adaptable. So, it's cool. Be spontaneous today. Go have
Smile,
some fun.
laugh.
Thanks for tuning in to Cece and Doc Talk. We'd love for you to follow us on social media at Cece and Doc. That's CCNDOC. And you can visit our website at ccandoc.com. We also take monthly donations to support this broadcast if you're so inclined. We'd love to hear your comments, suggestions, and questions, and we'll do our best to respond. Thanks, and have a fantabulous day.